Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new episode of Entrepreneurship Lab. This is your host, Nevin Bajal, welcoming you once again to the new episode where we help you grow and scale your business. We are always bringing you new tips, new information, and experts in different fields. And today we have Job Corp Hub with us coming all the way from Florida. And we're going to be talking about email marketing. Job, welcome to the show. And sorry, I pronounced your name completely wrong. I'm pretty sure.
That's okay. It's Kropkov.
Kropkov. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the last name. And
I
yeah,
I struggle with mine too, so I'm just like whatever you say, it's gonna be fine.
no problem. Thank you so much, Nevin, for having me on. I appreciate it.
So you and your brother started an agency several years ago, right? And you guys specialize in
Yeah.
email and SMS marketing, and you generated over 500 million in revenue for your clients through your services, which is really, really impressive. So can you tell us a little bit more how did it started and why specifically email marketing? Like, is there a backstory and so on?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there is a kind of an interesting backstory. I was in school for other things. This is going back like 10 years. So I was initially went to school for hospitality. And I was working in the casino industry in New Jersey, near where I went to college, and I worked in restaurants and nightlife and different things like that. And I kind of didn't like that field. I didn't really want to be spending all of my nights and weekends and holidays, working at a very busy place. I was always exhausted and weird hours, things like that. And so I ended up after school, I ended up going to law school because I had some professors and some people tell me, hey, you would be really great at law school. Why don't you try that? So I went to law school, but I didn't really want to do that either. And so I was in law school, and this is sort of the time period that I started learning about this digital marketing space and particularly email marketing. When I was in college, I was on an email list. I had joined a newsletter, and the newsletter was called Dating Advice Daily. And it was a email that you would get every single day. And it was from a guy who would teach different tips and tactics for. It was meant for men, obviously, who were trying to be better at dating with women. So that's what the newsletter was, and it would give all these interesting tips and things like that. And I was pretty shy at the time, so this is an area I needed help with. I didn't feel comfortable, kind of putting myself out there and like, walking up to a woman that I didn't know, and I was always shy. So that's why I was on this list. And so the reason I give you that context is because fast forward a little bit. Now I'm in law school, and I'm kind of still like, I don't really like the law. I'm not sure what I want to do yet as a career. My brother at the same time was finishing college for real estate. And me and him had always been entrepreneurs since we were kids. So when we were growing up, we got ourselves into a lot of different entrepreneurship things as kids, including building a casino in my parents' basement and all kinds of stuff that we won't get into all those stories. But we used to be just kind of known as the entrepreneurs growing up. So we knew that we wanted to one day start a business. It was just a matter of, I don't know when we can start a business. And, we were following sort of the traditional path of going to college, trying to get careers and jobs and everything. But we were still trying to figure out what to do. So the email list that I was on, this Dating Advice Daily, I still would read it every once in a while. And the guy who ran that email list started talking about how he had become a millionaire by the time he was 24. And he was only like 26 at this point. So he was a millionaire, young millionaire, and he had done it through his email list, through sending emails to his list and selling different, training and advice on dating. And so it caught my attention because I was in school for law school, and all of the people that, all my classmates, all of my peers in law school were really, excited to just for the idea that, okay, we're going to go work for a big law firm and work our butts off and make, we're going to get like $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year. And I wasn't really that interested. I wasn't obsessed with the law. It was interesting to me, but I wasn't like super obsessed with it or anything. And I saw this and I'm reading these emails and I'm thinking, so this guy's talking about you can become a millionaire with this email marketing thing. So I know that's kind of a long background, but the long and short of it is I basically started paying more attention to this, and started getting more into digital marketing, email marketing specifically, and got introduced to a lot of other people who had launched $1 million businesses online through email. And after some trial and error after graduating, my brother and I eventually realized that we could bring this skill set of email marketing to a field which desperately needed it and needed people who understood how to do it good. And so that's how we eventually started our agency. But we had a failed business before that. We tried to really sell our own products to our own email list. But we didn't have we didn't have a lot of experience at the time. We didn't have any capital to put into a business. And so when that didn't really work, what we did was we were able to start taking these email marketing skills and doing them for existing businesses. And that's kind of how, it came about. That's how it succeeded. So I know that was a lot, but I wanted to give you some context because it kind of happened by accident, that we got into this field. But ever since 2018, we've been going strong doing this for businesses. And so, yeah.
Well, you see, your shine has brought you so much success, and hopefully, this newsletter brought you some success personally in the
Yeah.
love life and dating as well. Hopefully, it's
Yes,
paid
yeah, it was.
off.
It definitely back then it definitely was very helpful. It doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately, but yeah, it was back then it was definitely it was a good discovery for sure.
Yeah. So I would love for you to share with us. I would love first to hear a little bit more about the failure, why you guys failed in launching your own product. What was it, if you're okay with sharing,
Yeah.
and why specifically? And then to talk a little bit more about email marketing. It's 2024. Is it still working? Is it still going strong? And what are the pros of email marketing?
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, to quickly talk about that initial business, why it failed, what you asked, I basically we tried to model what we saw other people doing, and I think that that's the logical, reasonable way to start a business. If you don't really know, you've never been in business before and you're starting a business, a lot of times you're going to try to model what you see other people doing. So for us, we saw people like Jason Capital. He's the guy I just mentioned who had Dating Advice Daily. Some other entrepreneurs at the time were doing this. John Romanello. There's several I could name, but basically where their business model was build an email list and give advice and then sell a digital product. So create a course or maybe video trainings or PDF ebooks, things like that, and then sell it to your audience. So we initially started doing this with body language, which that's another long story I won't get into, but basically I had some body language knowledge and background from some things I did in law school and also some other things aside from that. We created this program teaching body language to professionals, and we tried to sell it, and we did sell a little bit, but the problem is we didn't have any capital. We didn't really have, not that we couldn't have grown the business organically, but it was, I think at that time, a lack of knowledge of just like how to do that through like affiliate marketing or other types of organic growth that maybe could have worked. We tried for about a year, and because we didn't really make a lot of sales, it wasn't really going anywhere. we realized that it was not a successful endeavor. I racked up a lot of debt during that time, just, to invest in building a funnel online and invest in, kind of the infrastructure to build this thing, but didn't have enough capital to run ads and do all that kind of stuff. And this was back in 2016, 2017. So it was a time where there were, a lot of people kind of doing this, but not, there wasn't a lot of great information out there. I think we were also sort of led astray by some mentors who kind of didn't advise us correctly the first time and things like that. So after this, though, during that first year, we did invest a lot into our own education when it came to direct response copywriting, and sort of digital marketing and funnels and all of that kind of thing. And so during this time, we built up this skill set. We got a lot of practice on our own business that we were trying to build. And so at some point, towards the end of that period, I knew another entrepreneur who had a health business. He was like a detox business, and he hired us for a small amount of money to help him with his copywriting. And so that was like our first attempt at doing the service for somebody that wasn't our own business. And that went well. But we pivoted within the next year to servicing e-commerce businesses because we saw sort of a gap in the marketplace where a lot of e-commerce businesses were doing email marketing. They were sending emails, but they weren't following best practices. They didn't really understand the best ways to sell their customers their products. They didn't really understand the best ways to keep people engaged. And it was a lot of stuff that we had learned coming from the direct response marketing world that we had just been in for a year plus. So also at that time, there weren't a lot of agencies specializing in email marketing. Today there are. There's quite a few. In fact, I'd say there's way too many in some sense. But at that time, we were not able to find very many online who were just email marketing. There were social media marketing agencies and SEO agencies and all kinds of things, but not email specific. So that's how we were like, why don't we just be the email agency? And that's kind of how it was born. So that's kind of the story of that. What was the other thing that you asked was about just kind of email
Yeah,
marketing itself? Is
email.
it
Yeah,
still?
is it still?
Yeah.
I mean, we still receive emails, subscribing, people taking your emails. But do businesses still find it good conversion? Is it still like
Yeah.
how has now? How do you see the market changing when it comes to specifically email marketing?
Okay, well, those are a couple of different things. So, like, first, I would say it's absolutely relevant. There are, I think that the number, you can look this up because it's they come out with the latest data every year, but I think it's like 43 billion emails sent every single day. 43 billion emails sent every single day. And that is by far the largest communication channel on the whole planet. So it dwarfs everything else. Doesn't matter whether you're talking about social media or anything else. The second largest is text messages. But even that is way less than how many people are actually sending emails every day. So it is the largest communication platform. It's also the most effective strategic channel for marketing because it's direct, it's one-to-one. And so the reason why email is so effective is because if you are an online business, meaning that most of your customers are coming from the internet, they're coming from online, then you have a few different ways that you get traffic, right, to your website, to your products. First, there's what we call traffic that you don't control. And that would mean things like SEO, right? Your organic search, doing podcasts, things like this, writing articles, getting featured in blogs, whatever it is, whatever the case may be, or organic social media. You don't control that traffic. It's you do these activities and you are kind of, you're at the mercy of algorithms and things like that to figure out, how much traffic you're going to get. So that's one source of traffic. Then you have traffic you do control, and that would be your paid media. So in that case, you're paying a certain amount of money to get a certain amount of traffic. And then the third type of traffic is the traffic that you own. And there's only three types of traffic that you own. The biggest one is your email list. The other types is SMS if you do any SMS marketing, or direct mail if you're doing physical mail, physical advertising. So those are the only traffic sources that you actually own. You have full control and full rights to send that traffic to your website. So all of the other traffic is less valuable to you because you don't own it. You can control it if you're paying for it, but you can't control it as directly, right? You're just paying the platform, and then the platform sends you traffic. So your goal as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, is to get as much of the traffic that you don't control and the traffic that you pay for to become the traffic that you own. So you want to get as many people on your email list as possible. Those people are more valuable to you because you don't have to keep paying for them every single time. And so this is what we call retention marketing, right? So if you are able to send emails that actually convert, they make sales, they bring people back to your website, they remind people that you exist, that is going to increase the value of your email list. It's going to increase the actual dollars that you're making for all the people on your list. So your job is to try to get that as valuable as possible. And so that's what email marketing is for. It's more valuable than the other traffic. It's more direct. Like I said, it's one-to-one instead of one-to-many. And so I do think that it can be, I think, misunderstood and maybe undervalued in some ways. Yes, the landscape is changing. I think you asked about that. The landscape is changing. I think consumers are more sophisticated. People do get a lot more emails today. So there's a lot of competition in the inbox, right, for their attention. But also they are more savvy, right? So they don't respond as well as they used to just standard kind of basic, boring marketing messaging, because they know it's another advertisement, right? So the trick is, how can you show up differently? How can you give value to people? How can you make sure that they're actually engaging with your emails and finding them relevant so that they stay subscribed and so that they actually respond and buy from you? So I think that the main point here is that email is still the most valuable channel that there is, but it requires a little bit more effort than some of the other marketing. It requires you to actually be thoughtful about how you position yourself and how you message people, because that's how you're going to be able to actually get the most out of the channel. The big mistake people make is they don't do it well, and then they think, well, email's not very good, or email's dead, or people don't care about email anymore. But it's actually that they haven't really taken the time to learn the channel, to understand how it's different than all the other marketing channels, and to figure out how to do it in the most effective way.
Thank you, Josh. That's really helpful and insightful. And for entrepreneurs who are listening, a lot of them are startups just starting. If they want to start email marketing, they want to start organically, they're building their list. What are some things that they should maybe include in their email marketing, or what are some points that they should? I know, of course, we cannot get all your experience and all your knowledge, but at least some points of what should be in their email marketing, and what should hook the client to open.
Well, I think first it really starts with collecting the email address. And that's the most basic thing that I think a lot of people overlook. I mean, I'm still surprised a lot of times when I'll talk to a business owner and I'll be on their website, and they're not really doing a lot to collect email addresses. You definitely, no matter what kind of business you have, it doesn't matter whether you're selling, hats online, or, whether you provide a service. It doesn't really matter what it is. You should have a pop-up on your website, a lead capture, a place where you ask people to enter their email in exchange for something, whether that be a video or a PDF, or whether it be if you're a physical product business, then maybe it's a special offer, a discount, or a bonus gift or something like that. And whatever it is that you're offering shouldn't, it should be exclusive, right? It should be exclusive that people can only get that offer when they sign up for the email list. And so you want to provide value, up front for signing up. And really a lot of your effort in the beginning should be focused on just collecting emails and getting as many as you can. And so optimizing that process, that sign up process, is something that's overlooked, and really they don't realize how much money that they could be missing out on just because they don't have a great process there. So you want to have a good converting pop-up or a good converting lead capture. And then in terms of actual emails, it really does come down to being valuable. So like the people that signed up for your list are doing it because they have a pain. They have a problem that you are potentially able to solve. And again, it doesn't matter what type of business you have, you should definitely look at your products or your services as solving a problem. And so that's the starting point. That's what you should remember, because the reason that I will open your emails is if the email is going to help me potentially solve my problem. And so the thing that I think people get mixed up with is they make the emails all about them, and they make it, too much kind of the same email over and over and over, where it's like, hey, here's a new deal for you, here's a sale, here's an offer. And there's no real creativity there or anything. It's just kind of like pushing your product on them. And that's going to lose you subscribers pretty quickly, and it's going to lose you engagement. It's not really going to make a lot of sales because you haven't really established value first. And so my recommendation just for emailing in general is to think of it from the person's perspective who signed up. What do they want? What do they want to hear about? What do they want to what do they want to gain from being on this list, and how can you do that? And how can you do it in a way that's a little bit more creative and showing up a little bit differently than everybody else in their inbox? And yeah, there's a lot of ways to do that, and that we won't get to today. But I think it's important to start from the place of, how can I be different? How can I add value? And how can I, make this an interesting thing for my subscribers?
And I would love to ask you, what are like 3 mistakes or 3 things? Let's just find 3. I'm sure there are many, but not to do in email marketing. So I'm sure you are studying, and you've been studying and doing this for a long time, and there are many businesses that are doing it wrong. So what do you think are things we should not do in email marketing?
That's a great question. So first would be not talking like a person. So meaning that a lot of companies make the mistake of either being too like formal, and so their emails sound like super professional, formal, dry, boring. Okay. The other thing that people will do a lot of times is, if it's a brand and they're selling clothes or something like that, then they take the approach of making it more advertising salesy, where it just seems like any ad in a magazine or whatever, and it's just, there's no personality there, there's nothing connecting with the reader. And this is a big difference, I think, in 2024 that maybe wasn't as big of a deal in 2012, which is that people connect with people. They always have. But people are so sick of and sort of just like over and tired of just all the marketing stuff that they see all the time. So if you are going to show up just like any other advertisement, then you're not going to get a great result. So a huge mistake is that. I think it's much better to write like you talk, have copy in your emails that actually sounds like it's coming from a person, have a sign off in the email where it is coming from a person. There is an actual person behind the email, is usually a good way to go about it. I guess second would be, emailing very infrequently. So I think more people make the mistake of not emailing enough. than emailing too much. I think a lot of people are worried about emailing too much. So as a result, they think, well, you know, I don't want to email too much. I won't email that much. The problem is when you don't email that much, people forget about you. And email is very much just like any channel where you want to just show up because you don't know who's going to open or read that day. You don't expect that everyone's going to open every single email every day. It doesn't work that way, but if you are consistently showing up, then you are going to get more people actually opening your email. It's kind of like if you have a YouTuber that you follow, somebody that you follow on YouTube, and they post new videos every single day, but it doesn't mean that you're going to watch every single day. But you might go back and you know, binge watch some of their older videos when you have time. Same thing can be said for email. So I think that that would be the biggest other mistake. And then I think that the third mistake would be not not using direct response copy in your emails. And that means, you know, direct response marketing really just comes down to actually figuring out how to sell with words by connecting your solution to the problem that the person is there for, what they're trying to solve. So I think that you know, a lot of companies are just really trying to push their products or push their services on people and talk about how great it is. But you're forgetting about the customer. They don't really care how great your company is. They don't really care how great your product is. What they care about is, how does this help me? What is this going to do for me? So that means things like, you know, what are their pains? Like I said, what are the benefits behind the benefits? What are the real reasons that people are doing this? What's your USP? What makes you different than all the other brands out there, and why is that important? Things like that that are totally ignored. And so I'd recommend for anyone that's doing email marketing to study direct response marketing, direct response copywriting, and it is a skill. It takes time to develop. So you know, that's something that you should always kind of be developing, and you'll
Yeah.
get better results.
Yeah. As you're wrapping up, I mean, I can ask you, this is so helpful, so many questions, but you mentioned something too little and too much.
Mhm.
So how about what is too much and what is too little? Is there like a rule? What do you guys use as an agency? What do you recommend? Is it like 3 times a week, once a week? Like what is something that's maybe working? Is there, you know, do you change your strategy? How do you look when it comes to frequency of sending emails?
Sure. There's no real rule for that's going to work for every business. And so most of that answer is depending on your business and what you're selling. Because if it's really, you know, excuse me, if it's a service that is you know, very specific to a certain industry, and that, you know, there's not a whole lot of you know, different variations on that service, and it's one thing, and maybe you don't need to send emails every single day because it wouldn't make sense for you. You have to kind of figure that out. If you are a brand that has a lot of products, and there's, you know, a lot of different reasons for people to buy from you, then probably more frequently is going to be better. But at the same time, if you're a little bit newer and you haven't really done email marketing a whole lot, even if you have a lot of products to sell, I wouldn't advise going from 0 to 100. So you don't want to go from sending no emails to sending emails every single day, because you're going to burn out your list really quick. But I think that most people, though, if they ask the question like, how much email should I send? Or if they think, like, I don't want to send too much email. Most people that think that just aren't sending enough email. That's, you know, overwhelmingly, that's what the case is that the people that worry about that are just not sending enough, because you can usually get away with sending more. Um, that so like I said, it depends. As far as like what is too much, I would suggest to you that there is not really a too much, because I know of, and I've worked with successful brands who are able to send emails every single day, some even more than once per day, and still get great results. And it really is a matter of testing and figuring out what works for you and your audience. But you have to just be willing to try it, because if you're not if you're afraid of getting people unsubscribing, if you're afraid of getting, I don't know, spam complaints, or that you just won't get good results, then you're really not going to give yourself the chance to figure it out. And so if you really do give yourself that chance and you start sending emails every single day and you find that it doesn't get as good results, then maybe you want to dial it back. But most of the time, you're not sending enough email is the best answer.
There is a saying that good marketing doesn't feel like marketing. So I think those brands who create a loyal following and people love them, they love hearing from them because they just love the brand, they love the news, they love what's happening. So it's where we have to learn to be as business, like creating that brand that people love to hear from us and not be afraid we're going to be spamming them. But this is very insightful. I mean, Josh, thank you so much for your time, for being here today.
Thank you. Yeah. One last thing I'll just say on that is it really also comes more down to what you're sending. So if you're a brand that is sending I always say variety is the key, because if every email looks the same, if every email sounds the same, if they're all just kind of featuring products or selling, different offers, and they're always like that same thing, then you don't want to send those every single day, because you're not going to get a good result. It's going to become very old very fast, and you're going to burn out your list. But if you have a lot of variety in what you're sending, and like I mentioned, you're solving problems, you're showing up and giving people value, and giving them a reason to want to continue reading, and you should mix that up between promotions and sales and other types of content, then that can be very, very effective. So I just wanted to put that out there, because if that wasn't clear before.
Thank you, Josh. This is a episode, an interview packed of value, and I would invite everyone to connect with you on social media and LinkedIn, and reach out to Josh if you ever looking for someone who is expert in email marketing. Thank you for listening. Make sure, guys, to subscribe to the podcast if you haven't. Give us some likes, leave comments of what you liked the most, and make sure to share with at least one person that can benefit from this episode. Thank you for listening, and I see you in the next episode.